Hello, everyone. Welcome to Bench to Bold. Today, we are on location at Infinity Med Spa with Dr. Laura, and we're super excited to have her as a guest today on Bench to Bold. I'm Elisa.
And I'm Marnie.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Yeah, we are too.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
I wore a dress. I was so excited. I need to get dressed for Dr. Laura. Yes.
My name is Laura Abelhausen. I am a board certified OB-GYN and menopause certified specialist. I've been in Charlotte now for, 2012 I moved here. So we're looking at, 13 years. Mom of 3, 2 boys and a girl. My daughter turns 4 today. My baby.
That's exciting.
Yes, my husband is a local pediatrician and I love all things aging, wellness, and women's health.
Yeah. Well, you're in a fabulous place to love that.
I'm in the best place. Infinity is wonderful. It just is so happy being here. So happy.
Yeah. This is an awesome spot. Joe Brent really has done well with Infinity Med Spa and Beauty Palooza and all things Infinity Med Spa. I'm excited to show up here and to spend the day.
I know. Well, it sounds great. So, all right, Dr. Laura, let's talk about the things you like to talk about, which is women, aging, keeping healthy, staying healthy. What are the new trends in that? What can we do to maintain ourselves? And how did you get interested in women's wellness? Let's start at the beginning, actually.
Start at the beginning. So what really led me here, I would say, was probably my journey. So I'm an OB-GYN. I hit my mid 30s and I just started feeling like utter crap. Tired, low energy, irritable, just felt like a bad mom, bad wife a lot of the time. You know, things that I used to love to do didn't give me joy anymore. And so I really dug deep and I looked at things outside of traditional medicine and wanted to be in a place where I could give people more time and kind of think outside of traditional healthcare. So that's really what led me here.
Yeah. And so then you start studying all these things that potentially could help. And then for me, I recently lost my mother and it's amazing to me. And it almost makes me a little bit frustrated because I think I'm a really good detective in many ways. But there are so many things that I could have done better on or that we didn't know. And how come we didn't know these things? Is it just because no one was telling us or now they're all new discoveries? Where is the disconnect between being a good patient and also being an advocate for yourself and others?
I think that's a tricky question. And I can definitely relate in what you say. I think what happens is that a lot of traditional medicine is more reactive as opposed to just preventative, right? We go to the doctor when we're sick. We try to lose weight when we put on 10, 15 pounds. We, go and treat like a twisted ankle or frozen shoulder. There's not a lot of preventative care in the past, but I do think we are moving towards that.
Do you think that women in general are just oh, it's fine, I'll be fine, just whatever? Is that how we are? Because we just soldier through it. And we have that mentality, whether you're a businesswoman, a mother, or all of it, a partner, a wife, we're just kind of you know what, I'll be fine. If my limbs are hanging off and I'm bloody, maybe I'll go to the doctor, but otherwise I'm okay. I got this.
Well, 1,000%, because it's our kids, it's our husband, it's our jobs. And then we don't have the mental bandwidth for us. We just don't. Oh yeah, it's normal to be tired late afternoon. You worked full time, you shuttled kids around from practice to practice, and it is what it is. And who's going to take off work to go see a doctor? Who's going to work out more than we already are for longer? It's what we as women have done. And when I say women, also men. I think our society, we put people first. Our jobs come first, our kids come first, and then we are last.
Yeah, we are last.
You mentioned something about exposure and maybe not people not knowing about these things. I feel like social media is so much more in the mainstream now that we have access, to research or to doctors in other places that, are highlighting all these new studies. And so before, I felt like growing up, I didn't have access because we didn't have the internet.
No.
The internet has opened a whole new, good or bad, for people. It started with what, WebMD?
Yeah. WebMD. That was the joke.
Right.
And now I am so grateful that social media is a blessing and a curse.
It is.
I love social media for patients because I think if you drive them in the direction of the right resources, they are going to go into a visit and they're going to empower themselves and advocate for themselves that they wouldn't have necessarily done before. I use this example. So I remember very vividly, I was 10 years old. My mom was pregnant with my little brother and she could not walk. She could not physically, her sciatica was so bad, she could not walk. And I remember the doctor telling her, suck it up, get up, you're fine. That would not fly nowadays.
No.
I think back in the day, the doctor said something or your provider said something and a lot of people were like, okay, that's the truth. But now people have more education and they're going in there more empowered.
Yeah. So how do we, okay. So sometimes it's hard though, as a patient to say to the doctor, like, this is going on, or I need more help or whatever. Do you think doctors are also, kind of softening up their approach with patients as well so that there's a more of an open dialogue? Because it used to be where whatever the doctor said was kind of what you did.
Yeah. No, I think they are. I think medicine is changing. I think what limits a lot of physicians is the time constraints in a traditional healthcare practice. I will tell you, there's no way I could have provided good care covering a 40-year-old annual exam in a 15-minute time slot. Even a 30-minute time slot, you can't do an exam. The nurse can't do the vitals, and you can't get a good history in that little amount of time. So and chart and send prescriptions, and you're setting yourself up for failure. Yeah.
Yeah. I know that, when I was like my doctor in Los Angeles, like he would, and I think people probably were always annoyed, and maybe it was just me because he was kind of my friend. He and his wife were my friends, but I felt like I was getting a lot of one-on-one attention, which was something that was definitely needed, whether you're, having a child or not. But I definitely think, and that was a while, it was, almost 2 decades ago because my kids are older now, but doctors probably don't have that kind of ability to spend that much time with patients. So how do we, as a civilian, arm ourselves with good information so that when we show up at the doctor, we have a list and we're prepared, because that will probably help us and it would probably help the experience and the doctors and the nurses of just getting a solid baseline.
So I think going in with, so again, how many times do you go in and at the day you're feeling fine and you're like, the doctor's like, how's everything going? You're like, great. So I think it's a matter of keeping a running list of what symptoms you're having, how you're feeling on the day to day. Like as questions come up, you write them down. That way you go in and you don't just have a brain freeze or you forget. Like even when you go into a parent teacher conference or any type of meeting, like you go in and you're like, any questions? You're like, oh, no, I'm fine.
Nice.
So going in and just like making a list, compiling questions so you're not overboard. I have some patients that I tell them to be like, okay, you're going to come in and I'm going to ask you and you're going to forget. So send me an email maybe the Friday before your appointment about this has been happening over the month. This is what I want to address. So then I will read it. I will go back through and we can come in prepared so we don't miss things.
Right. So kind of journaling.
Journaling is super helpful.
It is. And then you can actually have it for reference to look back on if you journal daily or weekly to, especially before you start a medication.
Oh, yes.
Like if you're on a GLP-1 and you start, today, and so you weigh, right? You want to weigh so you can get your weight and you track it. The same thing with whatever medication you're on to track your symptoms and the way that things make you feel now, 3 weeks from now, 3 months from now. It's nice to journal and keep a diary of that.
Yeah. Especially hormones. Like you come in feeling so bad And then you're on it for 3 months and you're like, well, I don't feel good. But a lot of times it's remembering like where you are, where you started, especially in perimenopause. Because perimenopause is like this, where, and I tell women, like, you're going to feel bad, you're going to get better, and then you may feel bad again. So it's constantly like, okay, well, this was this. How are we now? Where are we in comparison?
So what is feeling bad? Like, what are some general symptoms? Like, what would that mean? Like, how would you describe feeling bad? Some things that are categorically things that would make you feel bad.
I think where it's tricky is that every person is different. So for some women, it's brain fog. I walk into a room and I have forgotten why I'm here. I cannot focus. I run a podcast, I run a business, and I just feel like I cannot do it anymore, where before you could. It's mood, it's feeling worsening anxiety, it's palpitations, it's debilitating fatigue, it's low sex drive, it's hot flashes and night sweats. I think there's not a one size fits all for anyone in life. And so it's what I tell people is this is each hormone. These are the symptoms that each hormone can help. So take what I've said, look back and track your symptoms.
And then what do you do? What does one do to, if they have any of those symptoms versus rather than just, saying, oh, I'm fine, whatever, what would one do to help eliminate some of those?
So you see a provider, you come in, this is how I'm feeling, a hormone panel to see where you are, and then going back with your provider and figuring out, is hormones the right path for you? What hormone is the right path for you? Is it birth control? Is it bioidentical? Is it something like a peptide or NAD because you're not ready because you're only 38 or 36, 35, and you may not necessarily want to start hormones right now? Do you want to consider NAD for energy or focus? Do you want to try a different path, a GLP, to figuring out what cocktail is right for you? Because no cocktail is the same for everyone.
And probably I would imagine it would change. Like it's not, you're going to stay on, you might change it up a little bit as you get older or as things start to improve or maybe get worse. So you have to be flexible to know that, what you're doing now is not what you're going to be doing a year from now.
1,000%. So what I tell everyone is that, okay, especially if it's early in perimenopause, this is a marathon, not a sprint. You may feel well for 6 months and then something will change. So I have to know how you're feeling. I have to know how you're feeling. And I want you to know that it's okay for you to come to me and say, I felt good. Now I feel bad again. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to listen to you and we're going to address it and we're going to figure out a path moving forward. So I think that's key.
All right. Oh, sorry, Lisa.
Yeah, no. So, okay. So we've talked about all the things, right? So I'm hearing a lot of buzz around peptides and around NAD. Talk to us a little bit about peptides. Let's start off with that because I'm interested.
I love, love, love peptides. So peptides are building blocks. They're made up of amino acids or building blocks that are put together in a certain way that help your body do something. So we have I break down peptides in terms of mental health, all over aging, skin health, immunity, cancer prevention, and then recovery. And then a patient comes in and we talk about what their goals are and we figure out their peptide stack that's right for them.
Okay.
And so how does a peptide get administered? Is it oral? Is it intravenously? Is it a shot? Are they all different? Or depending on your composition, you might say, okay, I think you should do the IV NAD, but an oral. I mean, how does one determine what they're going to be taking?
Typically for peptides, and NAD is different than a peptide. So NAD is an enzyme that's found in every cell in our body that helps with energy production. You can't test someone's blood level for NAD and say, oh, you're low, you need NAD. It doesn't work that way. NAD, I prefer either a nasal saline spray, an IV, or an injection that you can administer yourself sub-Q under the skin a certain amount of time during the week. IV is a protocol. It's 4 times over a certain amount of time, and then it lasts for a month. I am very sensitive to medicine, and a lot of people are sensitive to medicine. So an IV for a lot of people, they can't sit there for that long to do it, and they just don't feel good. So for me, I prefer the injection for NAD. I do it 3 times a week, and sometimes I do it 3 days in a row. Sometimes most times I do it Monday, Thursday, Saturday, because life for me is crazy on Saturday with kids' sports. Monday, I need it for the like push to go for the week, and then either Wednesday or Thursday, depending upon what my schedule is. Oral, the data on it is that it doesn't absorb well. So for me, I took oral for a while, didn't notice any difference. So that's what I choose for myself. Nasal saline spray is a really good option, especially for focus and energy, because the medicine is absorbed in the blood vessels in the nose. So for people that can't do shots, a daily nasal spray is a good option.
Yeah, I've done the NAD, and I did not see much. For me, I did not see much of a difference, but I think it probably is something that over time, consistently, probably the more that you do it, it might add and, be a residual effect for it. So I might go back and do that. All right. So you mentioned, and we'll talk about this subject because I think people will be interested, sex. So people come to you and you're an OB-GYN, so you kind of start from the whole process of it. When women are going through menopause or perimenopause, what about their sex drive dissipates, and that might be uncomfortable for everybody. So what do you recommend for people that are experiencing that?
So sex for women is tricky, right? It's multifactorial for us. It's how we feel in our body. It's hormonally driven. It's also your relationship with your partner. So coming in and figuring out what the cause. Is it because sex is so painful because she is so vaginally dry, it hurts? Is it that her libido is low and her testosterone's low? Is it, I don't look good naked. Like, I just feel like I've gained 20, 30 pounds and I don't want him to see me that way. So I think figuring out the root cause is really important. You can treat a hypoactive sex drive a couple ways. So, testosterone, checking a testosterone level, addressing that if it's low. There is a peptide for sex drive. It's called PT141 and it's FDA approved. It's an injection that women can take an hour before intercourse, which can help with sex drive. Addy is a pill that we can use for hypoactive sexual desire disorder. It's also FDA approved. Downside to Addy is you can't have more than 2 drinks on it. So that's a limiting factor. If it's painful, vaginal estrogen is really important, really important. There's also, pelvic floor physical therapy, which is great. So there's things that you can do, and really it's talking about it, because I felt like for a while women didn't talk about it.
I think it's taboo, right?
It's taboo. No one wants to talk about it.
I can't believe I actually talked about it. I'm sorry. I mean, I was like, all right,
yeah.
I have to.
Well, I think people really want to hear about
it.
it.
They do. I mean, and because it ultimately impacts everybody's relationship with your partner, with yourself, with the way that you interact in the universe. So I think that we're all, sexy, sexual beings. Obviously, being careful and making good choices is part of it too. But I definitely think as we get older, it's something that we want to address and make sure that we're taking care of ourselves, mind, body, and spirit. So I think that it's a subject that, yes, that we probably did not talk about. I don't think that our mothers really were sitting around talking about.
I think that's 100%
dry vaginas.
What it is.
They were probably not talking about that.
All we heard from our mothers and our fathers is, you don't have sex.
No, don't have sex. That's it.
Girls don't have sex. Come before marriage. So it was instilled in our brains that it was almost like a bad thing to do.
Right. And you certainly didn't enjoy it, right? If you had it, you weren't supposed to enjoy it, but we're supposed to enjoy it.
We are. Yeah. It's important. It's definitely
very important.
And I think the big thing also is, for a lot of what I tell my patients, is that if you're a busy mom and you work, it's hard to want sex during the week. You're exhausted, you're tired. So think about how you feel when you and your partner go on vacation alone. If it's still a job and a chore and you don't enjoy it, that's not normal. That's a red flag. How many of us during the week are so exhausted? That's okay. You're allowed to be exhausted. You're allowed to be tired. But if again, vacation by yourself, that's something that I would have a conversation with your provider about.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yes. All right. So, we were talking before the show started about government regulations, and now things are a little bit easier to get. So how, if somebody wanted to go on hormones or what is like, that might just be, how does somebody even start that process?
So great question. So the first thing is that the FDA last week took the black box warning label off of several HRT medications, which is huge. We have providers have been saying for years and years and years and years, hormones do not increase risk of breast cancer. And they finally relooked at that data from 20 years ago and have said they were wrong and that they were sorry. And there's a lot of women that were at a disservice. So for a lot of us, hormones, we consider them preventative medicine. If you've got a family history of Alzheimer's or dementia, a family history of osteoporosis, hormones aren't bad and aren't scary. And the first start is having a conversation with your provider to figure out if it's right for you. Some people don't need it. You don't have to be on it, but you also deserve that conversation to figure out if it's right for you.
So what about foods? Are there foods or certain diets that help promote our hormones and make us feel better? Obviously, we know sugar is kind of poison, so we try to stay away from the fake sugars and all of that stuff. But what else could you recommend for somebody in their 40s, 50s, 60s to be eating? Is there something like an apple a day? Does it really keep the doctor away? Things like that. What can we be doing to add into our daily routine of health and wellness?
So great question. So exercise is key. Weightlifting is key. Avoiding processed sugars is key. And honestly, alcohol. Like, it's really hard for me to say because I love a cocktail. I love a good glass of wine, but alcohol increases risk of cancer by 30%.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not great.
Well, we're not sponsored by any alcohol. So
yeah,
keep
talking. But so like limit it as much as you can. Alcohol makes menopausal symptoms worse. Hot flashes, night sweats, poor sleep. Alcohol will ruin it for you, especially things like wine, red wines, like you're going to have a bad night's sleep. Avoiding inflammatory foods. For a lot of women, their body does not like dairy and gluten as they age. So those are things that are key. Foods with high antioxidants. Blackberries, raspberries, blueberries are great things. Fiber is really important. What people don't tell you is that there are estrogen receptors all throughout our gut. And if we don't have enough fiber intake, our gut health significantly declines with age.
Do you think you can look at somebody? I mean, obviously, I know like fillers and stuff like that, but do you think you can look at somebody and see if they're healthy? Do you think that you can tell people when you look at someone like, oh, that person probably is not taking good care of themselves?
No,
I
would never do that. I can't because, because I think that's I can look at someone and see if they wear sunscreen. So
okay.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. So yes, I could say that
okay.
and they look at themselves, but.
Because sunscreen isn't, tell us about sunscreen.
So sunscreen is, again, I know Katie talked about it last time and I use sunscreen all the time. Sunscreen helps prevent our skin from aging, like the fine lines, the wrinkles, the saggy skin, the sunspots. So I think sunscreen is key. That's probably the only way I would look at someone and say they don't take care of themselves. But otherwise, no, I just learned never to judge a book by its cover.
Well, that is very smart. Yes.
You never know.
That's true. You never know. I mean, I think that I can tell from when I look at myself, I'm like, oh, I'm not a drinker, but I can tell like if I had a few days of like eating really junky, I feel it in my skin. I can be like, you know what? You need to get your SHIT together. Like no more cupcakes and candy for at least a few months because it really does. As I get older, I now notice I'm more sensitive to those things. And so I have put myself on, a very limited sugar intake for sure.
Yeah, no, I think we can tell within ourselves, but I think the big thing that I've learned just being here is that inner health needs to match the outer health. Like you can do your hair, do your nails, you can lift weights and be super in shape and feel great. But if you're not taking care of yourself internally, it needs to match.
So as a woman's doctor, what do you think that women are going to be looking to do in the next couple of years, like of all ages? Like what would be something that that you would suggest, just a pretty basic thing? Obviously, diet, fitness, looking into getting hormones. Are there any things that are up the pike that are new and interesting to you that will be helping us as we continue to age and move along?
So I think the next, other than everything that you mentioned, I would say peptides. We have a peptide for cancer prevention. So my mom passed away from cancer after a 6-week battle, super healthy. I would have thought she was the healthiest person she knew. So peptide for cancer prevention and DNA repair. There's a peptide for your immune system. There's a peptide for inflammation. So women suffering for fibromyalgia, is that something that's coming down the line for them? There's a peptide, growth hormone copper or glow, for fine lines, collagen, wrinkles, glowing skin that you mentioned. So I think that is going to be the trend, is people figuring out what they want their peptide stack to be, and they will do their healthcare that way.
And so to get a peptide, you would have to see a doctor, a professional, and then, or there's like rogue peptides, but you don't know where you're getting it from. You don't know where the lab is. So it should be under the discretion of a medical provider, because you take peptides differently. So for instance, you mentioned it earlier about oral versus not. Well, BPC 157 is one of my favorite peptides. I use it a lot. I like to play tennis. I get a lot of tennis elbow, my knees ache. So I use that as an injectable to help with like inflammation and pain. I have a lot of golfers on it for golf elbow. But you could theoretically go online and buy a pill, and people will say it's for inflammation, but the pill form is only for your gut. So you're going to spend money on something that's not even going to help what you need. And you have to take it in the morning. So if you're doing it on your own, are you going to take it all night? Is it going to keep you awake all night? So I think doing it with a provider, making sure you're not combining it with something else in the same syringe, making sure you're doing it safely, where to inject it. You don't want to inject it into a muscle. It needs to be in the fat. So that's really important too. Wow. I mean, it's so interesting. I mean, so you've been practicing medicine for, 20 years now. And how has the medical field changed from when you graduated from school and started practicing and treating patients to now where we are?
So social media, like people are coming in and they're going to know and they're going to ask questions. So I think that's good. I think a lot of older providers haven't embraced that yet and don't like it. Just like you said, when WebMD, I never minded when patients say, well, I looked at my symptoms, but a lot of providers hated that, especially the older generation. So social media has been huge. Again, preventative healthcare. How do we get ahead of the trend? I will see people come to me, well, I want to consider GLP. I've only put on 10 pounds. That's okay. I don't want you to put on 30 pounds and then come do it. I'd rather you get ahead of the game and do it for only 5-10 pounds and not have you be 30 to 40 to 50 pounds overweight and have arthritis and have diabetes. I think changing the mindset of getting ahead of the game is important. And again, advocating for ourselves. And peptides.
I think we're also, I retired from concierge medicine. And I think you see a lot of people doing executive healthcare now and having concierge medicine and practicing preventative care. Yeah. Because that's what we preached, was preventative care, for arteriosclerosis and, all the things. It was amazing to see. And now you see these wonderful executive healthcare plans where people are, going to Arizona or, and getting their executive, healthcare brain scans and staying on top of being proactive, but staying on top of things. So I think you'll also see more people, leading into executive healthcare and concierge medicine.
True.
Yeah.
Well, I think we have to just also get better at advocating for ourselves. It's hard. I think sometimes like we said earlier in the conversation, being your own cheerleader can feel really awkward but it's something that we have to do, or pull somebody in to advocate. I know that when my mom was ill, she lost the ability to advocate for herself. So I was able to, to advocate, probably annoyingly so, but sometimes that's what you have to do. you have to do it. And so knowing that there's no shame in that game of advocating for yourself and saying, all right, here's where I am today. This has to happen, and I need to take care of myself so that I can, lead a healthy life to be around for the next. How long are people living these days? Are they really living longer?
We are living longer. The problem is that women are living longer, but not having good quality of life because of dementia, because of other concerns. So yes, we're living longer, but we want that to be a good quality of life. And that's where things like peptides comes in play. That's where things like hormones come on board. Like, I want to live long, but I don't want to have Alzheimer's and dementia. I don't want to have such bad osteoporosis. I fall and break a hip and I can't get out of bed. So I think it's keeping that in mind too.
All right. Well, we're going to close the show in a second
have my
or so.
checklist. Do you have yours of what I'm coming to infinity? Yeah.
I love them. I love
let's
them.
go. Can we just go get some peptides right now and then come back in 3 months and we'll do a follow-up?
True statement. My husband said this the other day. He was like, you are healthier now and look better now than I did right after we got married at our honeymoon. True statement.
I believe
and I
that.
feel better than I did before I had kids back then.
Same here.
Like
I
the
would
best
have
I've
to
ever
agree
felt.
with that. I look better at almost 54 years old. I weigh less than I've ever weighed in my entire life. I have more muscle tone, and I feel better just because I'm taking care of those things.
All the things.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel the same. That I think that now we're in a place where we can go out there and fix things that maybe are not, that we never thought were fixable, and also help improve our lives. So that's a great thing.
I've got a birthday next month and I'm like, age is nothing but a number.
Nothing but a number.
I don't care.
Me either. Yeah. I'm aging gracefully.
That's right. And enjoying it.
Yes, enjoying it.
We want to have fun. We might have some
hard.
Yeah, there are things that might make us sad or a little bit melancholy, but the overall picture is we're happy and we're adding value and we feel good. So that's a good thing. Yeah. Well, thank you for being on Bench to Bold. One last thing, what would be a Bench to Bold moment for you?
Oh, I don't know.
Something that you did that, that you were bold.
Probably leaving my safe OB-GYN job and coming here, like on a whim. I met Joe Brent. We had our first chat Christmas Eve 2 years ago, and I started that May. I loved my job. I loved being an OB-GYN. I loved drinking. I loved my patients, but my heart told me that I needed something else, and my life was pulling me in a different direction. And so that's it.
That's a great inspiration.
And you're so glad you'll never look
look back. It was a lot. My husband thought I was crazy.
It's scary.
3 young kids, scary. And here we are, and so grateful.
So if people want to find you, tell us how we find you at Infinity Med Spa.
So follow us on social media. You can make an appointment online. You can call the office or front desk. I have lots of appointments, plenty of time, and I'm happy. You can do it virtually. We can make time work for you later than in office hours, but we're here.
Fantastic. All right. Well, thank you. I think that you're going to find a bunch of new patients from today.
I hope so.
We'll continue to go out there and spread the word of taking care of ourselves, and Dr. Laura can help.
Yes, I can.
Right. No, dirty peptides.
No, it's scary. Like, you can get them from China. You don't know the lab.
No,
it's not. It's crazy.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll keep everybody on the straight and narrow, hopefully.
Just safe. Just keep everyone safe.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining Bench to Bold. I'm Marnie.
And I'm Elisa.
And we'll see you next time.